Say you've decided to start playing BattleTech, but you're wondering, where do I start? Welcome back, folks, to another BattleTech video. As we said in the other videos, this will not just become the BattleTech channel, but there are going to be more BattleTech videos because there's more stuff to talk about. And today we're going to be talking about supposing you are a new player and you want to know where to start.
Which I am a new player, Bobby. Where should I start?
Glad you asked, Chad. I think most people should probably start with the appropriately named beginner box. Now, at this precise moment in time, that's probably not what the one you're going to buy looks like. That is what the one you will see on the shelves will look like in the very near future. Either one of them works. The only difference is that one has a Griffin and a Vindicator. The Vindicator is the mech on the far side on top there, whereas the other has a Wolverine in place of the Vindicator. But the Wolverine is duplicated in this box, which is the next one you should buy in line. So if you don't want the Wolverine, also, honestly, from like a price perspective, I'm sure prices are going to change going forward with new printings and the ever-present inflation. But these were priced at $20 and $60 respectively, and you get 2 mechs versus 8 here. So if you're reasonably sure you want to jump in, you could probably jump straight to this box. But if you're not sure, get the beginner box. Now, it comes with 2 solid plastic mechs, but also comes with, this is a different sheet from something from another product, but as an example, these are cardboard standees, which you can also use. You just take them, you pop them out, pop the little guy out here, and very simply you put that in there, and now you have another mech. And you don't have to paint this one, it already has a paint scheme. And you really only have to worry about forward and rear facing for these because of the way the game is played. Because of the hex map, you just line it up with this at the front and the back of the hex, and you're done. And the beginner box comes with, I believe, Chad, if you want to fish it out there just so we can see real quick, I believe it comes with 8, yeah. So it comes with standees for 8 more mechs. So if you go by like how things are normally organized for the military as the inner sphere, that's 2 additional lances. So you and another player now each have a total of 5 mechs because you still have the 2 plastic ones as well. And so you can get more of a more complete picture there. And then this box comes with an even larger set, and these boxes as well also come with these. Now this came from the Kickstarter, and there's a product that we are going to do a review for because I did buy one. That it's nothing but like 6 or 7 sheets of these. So it's all like 93 mechs from the Kickstarter, plus a couple long tom artillery pieces, some other civilian vehicles, and other things.
I need to look through that then.
Yeah, and it's for $40. It's as long as you're fine with using these, and I don't see the problem with using them, then you can instantly significantly increase the number of pieces you're using.
Technically, you could just use like different sized and shaped erasers to represent all the mechs if you wanted.
Yes, because that is kind of why we talked about making this video. I mentioned that this is already pre-painted because obviously it's printed and already has paint details for the unit. And obviously the other units do not come that way because the way things work in universe, and this is going to sound antithetical to some of your past experience, especially if you're coming from Warhammer 40,000 or regular Warhammer. These units don't have set factions they belong to, okay? All the various armies all basically use the same technology. So even though these two are clan mechs, and this is an intersphere mech, if the guy piloting this mech manages to destroy one of these two, but enough of it is left intact, they will take it with them at the end of the battle, and they'll cobble together parts from others to rebuild it, so now they have access to this one. And because of that, well, depending on your time frame, if you want to go strictly, it would be difficult for certain mechs to be in certain people's possessions, but not impossible. But over time, it becomes more and more likely because of salvaging through battles. Say you're a mercenary company, you're gonna get salvage. You're gonna argue for salvage rights in your contract. You're gonna take any fallen enemy mechs. Then whatever you don't keep, you're gonna sell. You might sell them to someone on the other side of the known universe
Who's never even seen that?
who's never going to our handy map here. Say you're a mercenary who foolishly decided to go work for House Kurita just before their big mercenary purge, and you make it out with your life. And you've got a couple dragon mechs. Well, they're made exclusively in the Draconis Combine. But say you next go over here to House Lao to follow your string of bad decisions on bosses to work for, and you decide you're going to sell the dragon mechs. Well, the Lao, being the type that always need more mechs because of smaller stature, will buy them because they can rearm them with the weapons they have. So yeah, you might have trouble justifying certain bits of technology because they're more common here than here, but you don't have to. Okay, and that's kind of the big push for what I'm getting at here is that you don't even have to even choose necessarily which faction you're working for. You could straight up be mercenaries, or just nothing. It's just my army versus your army, using whatever mechs you want to use.
And even if you do pick a specific faction to say your mechs are part of, do you have to have a certain paint scheme for that?
You don't have to.
I know if you're coming from Warhammer 40k, Imperial Fists and Black Templars, they both use the same stuff, but they're different color schemes.
Right. You don't have to. If you go, there's a website, and I'm going to mention a few websites before we're done here, and I'm going to try to link them all in the pinned comment. But the Camo Specs website shows the canon colorations for units for each of the factions. Like House Lao has probably 20 to 30 different units that are listed, and their colorations for them. And mind you, what you're going to see in those colors, those are parade colors. That's for whenever, after they've conquered the planet, and they're going through the streets, showing off.
After the mechs have been repaired and repainted.
Right. In battle, they typically just go for camouflage. As illogical as that sounds for a 40-foot tall machine, that is what they go with, or just a plain gray. They don't really.
A plain gray, you say, Bobbie?
Yeah.
Well, they're already a plain gray.
Yes, and that's the other thing. You don't even have to paint them if you really don't want to. Now, it's going to be easier to tell them apart if they're somehow painted or marked. And for that, you could even I've seen some people literally just paint the front facing plate on the hex and just make sure all of their mechs are painted one color, and all the opponent's mechs are painted another color. You could also literally just dip them into one solid color if you felt like it. There's no rules for painting these. There's no rules for factions. There's nothing like that. Now, having said all of that, there is actually a product series on the horizon that is going to kind of go into that because per the canon, certain factions do favor certain tactics and certain mechs and things like that. So there is lore if you want to adhere to it. It's just that you don't have to. But they are going to be producing books. There was a series of Alpha Strike books where they did a House Kurita and a Mercenary book, and they're gonna round those out with the other major players. I don't know if that's coming out at the end of this year, beginning next year, when we're going to start seeing those. But it has an eye towards, at least as I understand it, trying to explain like the driving doctrine behind this house's military. formations, because even though all the houses favor lances, which is 4 units, some of them have variations on that. Like House Lao has the augmented lance, which is 4 mechs and 2 vehicles, which they, I believe, picked up during the clan invasion, and also it's a way to augment their smaller mech forces. And then among the clans, they prefer the Star, which is 5 points. A point is a mech or a vehicle or a pair of vehicles, if I recall correctly, whereas a series of 5 elementals, that's their battle armored infantry, is a single point. So 25 of those would also be a star. And then it goes from there, 2 stars is a binary, 3 is a trinary, is an enforced binary. There's a whole deal over there. And like I said, the Innersphere uses steel, and Comstar uses 6 units to a thing. So that's all fluff, okay? You don't have to play that way if you don't want to. You can take any land mechs and decide there's 7 of them in a unit. As long as the point values work out for both sides, that's what matters. Or if you're playing a scenario, maybe they don't work out, maybe it's, one using a invader, the other is heavily entrenched forces, whatever, So anyway, you're not bound by those kind of restrictions. And here's another reason why. Hold this, please. This is what things look like in 3025. This is what things look like in 3151. As you can see, things change over time. There's all kinds of new players because the clan invasion corridor and various other wars between the houses. So there's all kinds of area where there could be overlapping units. Like here is where House Kirita has carved into House Davian. Well, in the process, they no doubt picked up all kinds of Davian mechs. And from these battles, I'm sure that there were Davian victories where they picked up Kirita mechs. And given that both sides are throwing everything in the kitchen sink at each other, they're going to repurpose those mechs as quickly as possible. The Republic of the Sphere was in here. Now it's gone. But all those worlds had Republic mechs, and now they're controlled by the houses. So those mechs would also now be in the hands of the various houses, like Palau, Kirita. They're the ones on Terra's doorstep at the moment. And then there was the Word of Blake. And all their mechs, if there's any still left, are in someone else's hands right now. Or maybe in Word of Blake Shadow Division hands, waiting to nuke some more people. Who knows? So that's the broader point, is that this game, it's not a what you see is what you get game. Or it's, how do you say it, WYSIWYG?
WYSIWYG.
Yeah, so it's not a what you see is what you get.
So long as you're paying the point value on the card, it's kosher, right? It's good.
All right. If I should have planned ahead here. No, I don't think I have any that are. Oh yeah. Okay. You probably cannot tell, but these are actually 2 different versions of the Locust. They have different armaments here on their pods. Alright? Now there's not much to the Locust, so it's kind of hard to tell. But they are 2 different variants. I can say either one of these is any variant of the Locust that I want to. It doesn't have to be the one that this specific mech, this specific piece represents. And I don't know the Locust variant numbers are off the top of my head, or I use some examples here. If I really wanted to, I suppose I could say it's the, I don't know if the Locust has a 2C variant or not. But for argument's sake, let's say it does. I could even say it's that if I really wanted to. So that's just an example. And those are the kind of things that you're going to run into, because any one of these machines has numerous variants, particularly the clan mechs, because they are built on an adaptable technology frame where they can very easily remove parts and put others back in. It's a modular frame. They're
Case mechs, right?
no, case is a thing they have to stop them from blowing up, stop their ammunition from blowing up. Omnimex is what they're called. Which also, a little side note, there's an advantage that these little guys can ride into battle on them. The Inner Sphere eventually learned how to make their own Omnimex as well. I don't think we've seen any of those in plastic yet. I could be mistaken. But anyway.
The Elementals can ride on those as well.
Right. So, or the Inner Sphere battle armor, because they also have their own versions of battle armor. But after the clan invasion, they realized how much better it could be, and so there was some significant upgrades. So, let's say you buy these two. This is the next logical box to buy. The mechs from the clan invasion era have greater
everything.
Yeah, the technology in the clan mechs is better. So these will have distinct advantages over these. In fact, it's to the point, this box set has 5 mechs in it. And one set of their variants is an even match for the 8 mechs that are in this set. So, something to consider. But anyway, now this is if you're going to play Alpha Strike. That's a different rule set. It's a fast fighting version, not nearly as complicated as this. That's why there are 13 mechs in here, 5 clan and 8 Inner Sphere mechs.
Some of the way some of the Callous people have explained it, a game of armored combat is like for Lance versus Lance.
Right.
And Alpha Strike is for when you want like company versus company.
Yeah, or bigger, yeah.
Or bigger. For when you want to be able to set up artillery a room away and say, I shoot your mech.
Yeah, more or less. So, now, as I said, you don't even have to actually pick a faction. Now, should you be inclined to do so, if you check our other video, we kind of talk about some of the books, and I do just want to quickly highlight a couple things real quick. We mainly talked about these books right here, the House Handbooks. And you'll find a lot of information in these. And if you can't find the print versions, the PDFs should be available either through Catalyst or Drive-Thru-RPG. The one advantage of buying things through Catalyst directly is that if they ever update them, they automatically update your copies as well, the PDFs. Well, you'll get a new copy with the updates. However, the BattleTech lore itself is spread all over the place. Okay, this is a book about the War of 3039. Okay, that's a TRO for the Dark Age era. The bottom one is the TRO for this war right here. All right, you've got books like this that come with the box sets here. You have this little 20-some-odd page story. There's lore in here about something. Okay, the pilot cards have names of the pilots. That's more the factions of war. That's more lore right there. You've got some ungodly number of novels at this point. You have books like this one that are, because this franchise existed since the 80s. So you have books like this that cover the Age of War, the Unification Wars, the Battle for Terra during the Amorous Coup. You have a book dedicated entirely to the First Succession War, one entirely to the Second Succession War,
one entirely to the 20th Succession War.
Well, I was going to say, don't actually expect it for the third and fourth, from what I understand. So, but you have your more recent books. You have the Ill Clan book, which describes Clan Wolf and Clan Jade Falcon attacking Terra and conquering it. And it's kind of like the follow-up to Shattered Fortress, which is where the Republic gets ready for the attack. You have 2 books already after that fact that talk about what's going on in the rest of the Inner Sphere and how this is leading to other conflicts. And every single one of these books has some advancement of some storyline of some kind. It mentions factions, planets, machines. I mean, the lore for this game is spread out all over the place. And that's why even if you were to start now, you might never finish. And that's even before you get to the really fun things to find, like from the Clicky Tech game, the unique machines came with little dossiers. The contents of those are canon. And good luck finding those anywhere.
So where's a good point to start with the lore then?
Alright, so
I know personally where I would start, but
So the box sets try to guide you towards 3025. That's kind of where the original box started. That's where it's basically like Mad Max in space. But as you progress, you real quickly lose that. And so some people never move past that because they really like the feel of that setting, because the setting definitely changes. But after that, it just comes down to what era do you enjoy. And if you want to be in the I want to be able to use everything era, that's the current era, which is the Ill Clan era. Because by 3151, you've got all the toys to use. So that also comes with all kinds of upgraded armor and weapons and things, and there's other books you need to buy. If you're going to stick with just Battle Mechs, if you buy these and maybe this one, and you're like, this is the game for me, the next book you need to buy is either the, it's not the Mech Warrior book. I apologize, folks. It is the, I had it right there on the tip of my tongue. And now I have lost it. Well, you have two choices, actually. One of them is the, wow. I'm totally spaced aside. Totally apologize, folks. One of them is the Total Warfare book. That's the book that has all of the rules for the main game itself. Alright? Or you want to buy the Battle Mech manual. This is a picture. This is the older cover. It has a different cover now. Not every reprint, but every so many reprints, they change the covers because some of these covers, the spines all link together to make one image. So if you're going to buy them, all, make sure you're buying all the same ones on that. So you have, that's the Battle Mech manual. That's if you're only going to be using mechs and you don't want to use infantry and vehicles and all that. They are making another book for more like if you do want to use the other stuff and you bought the mech manual, I believe. But there's also just the Total Warfare book. That's the actual rule book. Is Total Warfare. Then from that, the other rule books just expand what you can do. Total Warfare is modeling the battlefield. Beyond that, you have your space warfare and aerospace stuff. Then actually planning like the entire raid, like the jump ship and everything. Then there's managing like a whole mercenary company, I think. And then finally it's like, okay, you're one of the house lords. So the books just keep expanding the area of control and options. And there's a few one-off things that the rules are kind of squirreled away in weird places, like the land air mechs. I don't know what book they're in, but they're not. I don't think they're in the Total Warfare book. I believe they're hidden away in one of the other books. So if you're wanting to go on from these, that's what you want to go with. Now, if you decided that Alpha Strike is what you want, then the book you're going to look for is the Alpha Strike rulebook, the Commander's Edition. There were 2 Alpha Strike books, and then they combined them together into a single book called the Commander's Edition. That's the one you're going to want to look for. Right now it has 2 different covers, but both books should essentially be the same. Like I said, it's just whenever they reprint, they add in any errata, and the errata is usually very, very minor.
Bobbie,
You can find it online.
you mentioned a book, Mech Warrior. What does that one do?
Oh, yeah, there is also, if you want to go the RPG route, your Mech Warrior is the kind of catch-all RPG title. And there, it's The Time of War, I believe is the name of, or Mech Warrior Destiny. It's one of those two, because I think they've changed the title. So for the moment, I think it's Destiny, because they had some gigantic battle mechs like this, one of these, like this scale, which was for like a 28mm human pilot scale, and people are calling that the Destiny scale, and that's what I'm assuming they're basing that name on. Would be like if you're going to use normal RPG scale figures, that's the scale of the BattleTech. So,
And by normal RPG scale figures, you mean like D&D scale
yeah,
figures?
like Dungeons and Dragons. Because I know Warhammer is a slightly different scale. It's what heroic scale.
32 heroic, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Yeah. So, but anyway, that's kind of off in the weeds. So, like I said, the main overarching point here is if you're a new player, don't feel like you have to pick a faction. You don't have to pick certain machines. You know, you don't have to do any of that.
If you want to run a lance of nothing but Atlas mechs, well, you can go Steiner and just call it a Scout Lance, but you can do that if you want.
Yeah, as long
And
as
it doesn't have to be Steiner, but
Right,
they're
so-
the ones most likely to have.
as long as points permit.
Yes.
Now, if you do want to go more faction strict, or if you're even curious, there is a website, and everything here is canon, and again, I'm going to link to it in the pinned comment, called the Master Unit List. And you can search by faction, by era,
By mech.
by machine name, because there's a very, very small handful where there's both a mech and a vehicle that have the same name. And I can't think of it right off the top of my head, but I know every time I search for it, I have to go in and make sure to tell it I'm looking for the tank and not the mech.
Is it Prowler?
It could be, I don't know. And it might just be that I'm doing something wrong. But anyway, like say you search for the Atlas. Okay, well first you'll notice there's also an Atlas 2 and 3 in the list. But if you just go with
Void the 3. Void the 3. It does not look like an Atlas.
if you just go with the regular Atlas, all right, then you'll see a list of variants that all have names like the D7, the K this, whatever.
The S8.
Yeah, and so each of those,
Or something
the
like that.
letter codes, generally speaking, tell you which factions build them. Most of the K variants are Kirita, most of the D variants are Davian, the L variants are Lao, and so on. And you'll notice certain technologies pop up on some of them, because whenever you click on them, it'll bring up the Alpha Strike card for it. And like you'll notice some of the Lao variants tend to have stealth technology. Remember the Kirita variants will have the C3 computer system. Just
The
think.
Steiners will have more expensive weapons.
Yeah. So that's what you run into, and so you'll begin to notice trends. But also, if you click on any of them, over on this part of the screen, it'll show faction availability, and it'll have the eras. So if you really want to know, just look through the era, whatever era you're going to play, and you'll see which faction have those mechs.
That era list includes the Star League era, does it not?
Yeah, that era list is more comprehensive than the official era list, because it has the Dark Age, I think, broken up into 3 sections, and there's the Star League era, and I think the Age of War is in there too. But anyway, that's how you know it. But even that, like I said, it's canon, but it's not absolute. Okay, just because it says in 3151 that I'm making this up. I have no idea what it says for this. Let's say it says in 3151 that somehow House Lao doesn't have any of the A7 Atlas. Well, what that means is they're not manufacturing them. They weren't known to buy them. That doesn't mean they don't have them. They could easily have some of them laying around. They just don't have them in tremendous numbers. So even that is still this is a broad view. This is based on where they're manufactured, who buys them, things like that. That doesn't mean that no, there's none of them left. Even the ones that say extinct, there's probably still some of them floating around somewhere, just waiting to be uncovered, or in use on some backwater world out in the periphery somewhere. Or waiting for someone to come along and be like, that wasn't a bad mech. I own a factory over here. Let's start making them again. That happens.
So even if it says it's extinct for an era, could be it's, what do they call it, lost tech?
Yes.
And someone just can rediscover them, a cache of them,
Right. Now,
and there you go.
Now, the lone exception to this concept is if the mech hasn't been made yet in that era. because these mechs weren't all designed at the same time. So like the Star League era, the Mad Cat does not exist. This is a clan mech from at least...
But the Atlas does.
Yeah, the Atlas does. Or at least the plans for it did.
It did.
And so other than that, and those are rare because they usually start the availability with when they were made. But other than that, if it says extinct, yeah, no one's manufacturing them, but there could still be some out there.
Because I've been on there looking at them, and it's extinct. Well, it's available for one era. The next, it's extinct, and then the next, it's back.
Yeah, and that happens. I know. Again, I can't think which one it is right off the top of my head, but there is one that's from like near the Age of War. Then it's extinct all the way up through somewhere around like the Jihad, and then some mercenaries started manufacturing them. So not only do they come back, but the main faction is mercenaries. So, you run into things like that. But otherwise, play what you want. Okay? If no one is going to be, oh, you can't play that. Oh, no. The Hunchback 2C with a Mad Cat on a Sea Fox team? No way. No, that's...
What? Someone say I can't use a Daishi with the House Steiner lance?
Yeah, I mean, it's absurd. And, and if you do want to play faction specific, also, go for it. That's up to you. Like, I'm personally trying to build some of my stuff up to be faction specific. But that's just because I want it to look faction specific. It's not going to stop me, because the bulk of mine are going to be for House Lao once I get done painting them. That's not going to stop me from being like, that is a pretty cool clan mech. It'd be really nice if House Lao had one of those. Well, House Lao's going to have one of those. That's the way it's going to work. There's a few things I'm not going to put in there because I know they don't have them, period. But, other than those, I'm not going to restrict myself. I'm going to be close, but I'm also going to put the mechs that I want to use in there. Or in my particular case, I am not a fan of House Kirita as a faction. However, I like the look of a lot of their mechs. Well, the solution is, I make a mercenary force like the Ronins, who broke off from House Kirita because it sent them on a suicide mission. And, well, what mechs are they going to take with them? Obviously, House Kirita mechs. Where are they going to be fighting? Probably against House Kirita, for House Davian or House Steiner. So they're going to be picking up salvage from the battlefield of other House Kirita mechs. So presto changeo, I have access to the House Kirita mechs without having to play House Kirita. Or like Chad seems to really enjoy the Steiner mechs. I don't know if he's going to go for House Steiner or not, but he likes the Steiner mechs.
Yeah, I'd probably will go House Steiner, honestly.
Well, in 3152, there's the power vacuum left from where Clan Jade Falcon and Clan Wolf, where their worlds were, because they took everything they could to Terra to fight it out. Well, now there's a power vacuum there, right next to House Steiner on both sides. Well, some of the Clan Jade Falcon worlds now belong to a group called the Tamar Pact. Well, the Tamar Pact, the current one, there's an older one and a current one. The current one is a breakaway House Steiner faction. So their mechs are going to be Steiner mechs. But the worlds they went to are full of Jade Falcon mechs. So they're going to have both of those. Plus, they're on House Kirita's doorstep. So salvage could easily drift over from that.
So you're saying once House Steiner eradicates that Tamar Pact group, they're going to have Jade Falcon mechs.
I wish House Steiner the best of luck. House Steiner's too busy fighting off the potential like 2 or 3 rebellions they're going to have to deal with here real soon. Like, there's literally empty worlds and they can't go for it. And that's what kind of bad shape they're in. Literally,
They've been in worse shape.
They literally just have to send like a couple guys in a tank to claim the planet, and they can't.
They've been in worse shape.
So, yeah, no, what I'm saying is, I'm going to paint up some mechs as the Tamar Pact, because it's a bunch of Jade Falcon mechs I really like, and the Jade Falcon's kind of got the rear handed to him here recently, so there's a couple of different versions of Clan Jade Falcon on the 2. But anyway, that's to say that, like, things change in the setting. You know, power shifts. So play what you want. You know, which I'm sure is not quite the answer some of you want to hear. Because I know, again, if you're coming from Warhammer 40K, that's the polar opposite of what you've had to deal with. But that's why these come unpainted, as opposed to the Leviathans set they just released, or what just got through on Kickstarter. Those are going to come pre-painted, because each ship belongs to a specific faction. These don't. These could be anybody. These they had to choose because they print them up, but these, paint them however you want them. We're going to paint them all, you know?
And remember, if you're coming from Warhammer 40K, you only need 2d6s.
Yeah.
Not the 50 you already have stored for each game.
Yeah, it's there's a set of them that's helpful to have, some little ones as far as charting your movement and stuff.
Yes.
But to actually play the game, you just need the 2d6. Now, we all know from being gamers that none of us have just 2d6. I mean, even just from these 4 boxes, there's 4 sets sitting right here. So even just getting these, you're going to have more than that.
Yep.
And we all know that there are those of us who just can't resist shiny new dice. So you're going to have your special ones. Keep an eye out. They do make them for the various factions here.
Yep.
So
in plastic and metal.
yes.
If you do want the metal dice.
Yeah, the metal ones they're fairly light metal. They're aircraft grade aluminum. They're not like some of the heavy clunky metal dice you see sometimes. Because I bought a set of the Clan Jane Falcon ones.
I have a set of the Clan Wolf ones.
Yeah. So yeah, that's basically it. Like if you're new to the game, you know, work your way through these. You know, probably this one. And then if you get to this point, you're like, I like the game, but I just wish it was faster. Look into this once it comes out later this year, because we're able to get these at Gen Con and like an early preview. These will be out soon.
If you're uncertain about if you want it and don't want to spend the money on the box set from extra that'll just be sitting around, if you do go to Gen Con, they hold how to play events and straight up like play events.
Right, and not just Gen Con. They also go to Origins, and I want to say they go to another convention, but I couldn't tell you what it is. I don't think it's Dragon Con. I think it's PAX East or one of those.
Like, the only reason I mention Gen Con is that's where we go.
Yeah, that is because close by, that's where we go. We're hoping to go to Origins next year, and if we do, we're going to cover that on the channel just like we did Gen Con.
Oh yeah, I'm hoping to talk him into like all 5 days. And you see the reaction I get.
Yeah, we'll see on that. So,
no, we'll see.
So anyway, also, if you get into this stuff and you really like it, in theory, here in a few months, Catalyst is going to be having another Kickstarter for mercenaries, and which is going to be more plastic mechs and
Plastic vehicles.
and plastic vehicles finally.
And
now,
probably more of these as well.
Presumably, yes. And I keep saying plastic because these are all also available in metal through Ironwind Metals, and they make the variants also. So, like for the Mad Cat, you can get the other weapon loadouts. You can get a couple different versions of the Atlas.
There's like 5 variants for the Super Heavy.
Yeah, I mean, and then they even sell just parts for the clan mechs, so you can just swap out the other Omni parts. So they have a lot of stuff. Now the trade-off is you have to assemble them.
Oh yeah.
They're heavier.
Oh yeah.
They cost more.
Yeah, the Super Heavy's like $50 last time I bought one.
Yeah, because of current price increases, a lot of their mechs are closing in on $20 per mech. Now, the metal is slightly more detailed, okay? So if that's your thing, great. Then also, since you do assemble them, you can pose them and everything else. And like these, they have to be painted, but you're not. It's a wash. Plus, you should use a wash.
Once they're painted.
Yeah, once they're painted.
Or if you're not going to paint them, you can just put a wash on this, and it just pow.
Yeah. And for me personally, one of my issues is if I drop this, it's not going to fly apart. My metal, when I glued together, it's probably going to.
I don't know. Go get it and let's see.
Yeah, no, I know that it's going to. Okay. Plus, some of them have really teeny tiny parts.
Wait, you got the Jump Jetosaurus one in metal, didn't you?
Yeah.
I remember you complaining about putting that one together.
No, that one was easy to put together, actually. I bought a second one. That one's easy to put together. The Marauder 2C has, like, I don't know if you folks can see the scale here. See how tiny these guys are in comparison to this, and this is about 2 inches tall. So these little guys right here. The Marauder 2C has about a dozen parts that are smaller than these. You just try super gluing those things together. I gave up. I can't finish it. I'm just gonna like melt it down for pewter slag or something because I have a plastic one.
No, you get clippers and a small hobby saw, and now you have base decorations that's a busted up metal.
There you go.
Look, if these people are coming from Warhammer 40K, they know this already.
Sure, and that is one other thing. These all come on the hex base already. Those don't.
Nope.
So.
Gotta buy it yourself.
Yeah. So when I say plastics, that's what I'm talking about. And these come like 4 to a set for like $20. So you get a lot more of them, and they're not as heavy. Like I can't undersell how critical that is. But anyway.
Yeah.
That's more or less our little presentation here. As usual, if you have questions, put them in the comments. And any kind of comments.
If you are curious about what all's in these boxes, we do have unboxing videos, which should be linked somewhere up over here.
Yeah, in fact, by this point in the video, you've probably seen all of them. You've probably seen all kinds of things showing up over here by this point, because we have a number of other BattleTech videos. But yes, we do have unboxings for all 4 of these, plus the current version of the beginner box.
You mean the current version for sale?
Yes, the version that's currently for sale.
Not this version.
That's the version that's going to be out, but we also have that version.
Yes,
so
we have both versions up.
Yeah. Like I said, the only real difference is the inclusion of the Vindicator versus the Wolverine, and the cardboard sheet is changed to reflect that in a couple of the inserts. Someone asked in one of the comments, there is no Alpha Strike card for the Vindicator in that set. There's not one in the Alpha Strike box set. So I don't know what they're going to do there. Maybe it'll come in the Mercenary box set, or maybe they'll update this to include it, because this one comes with the Alpha Strike cards for both of these sets. I do believe.
Yep.
Yes, the Griffin in there.
Yep.
Yeah. Yeah. So maybe this will be updated in future printings to reflect that, include the Vindicator card. But for the moment, there is no way to get the Vindicator Alpha Strike card. Now the stats are on the master unit list, like I mentioned, and they're all for free. So just print them off. But as far as if you want a card, it doesn't exist at the moment. But I'm assuming they will put it in another product.
I think I'd rather print it off. You get a bigger item at that point.
So anyway,
also, when your mech gets destroyed, you can easily, in anger, wad it up and throw it halfway across the room.
So that I believe is our little presentation here for today. Keep an eye out for other BattleTech videos. If you liked what you saw, make sure you hit the like button, share, subscribe.
Do believe right now we have BattleTech, or not BattleTech, but D&D videos up as well. So
for those of you who've tuned in for the BattleTech stuff, if you do have other interests, we do have other videos. This is not like I said in the other videos. This will not just become the BattleTech channel, even though we do like the game and the setting and everything. We've got plenty to say.
Giant stompy robots, people. What more is to say about liking
We
it?
do have plenty to say on other topics, a lot of which revolve around D&D at the moment.
So there's been a few recent announcements there that
yeah. So if you are here just for the BattleTech, keep an eye out. There will be more. We're hoping to maybe do like an actual playthrough at some point.
Yes.
We just got to get everyone together for it. So.
And find the time,
Yes.
because our schedules don't always sync up as nicely as we would like.
No. That's why our third companion hasn't been in a number of these videos recently, because our schedules are all over the place more so than normal. But don't worry, he hasn't dropped off the face of the earth or anything. He will be back. So, yeah, like I said, gave you the sales pitch already. This is a YouTube video, you know what to expect. Like, share, subscribe, all that jazz. Leave some comments.
We do try to respond to those.
Yeah.
We do try to get answers to your questions. Sometimes other people beat us to it.
Yes. So anyway, we thank you for tuning in, and keep an eye out for more videos.
You take care out there, folks.